just want to introduce myself. This is Mr. Prestige Fan, first Prince of Mr. Viet 2023. And this right here is the Prince of Performance, Boon Nguyen. And we're here to read Chú Cuội, that is Moon Boy. Yeah? Let's start reading, bro.
Và kế tiếp chúng ta có câu chuyện của Chú Cuội.
Alright, want to start or you want me to start? Okay. Chú Cuội, the man in the moon. Long, long ago, a poor woodcutter named Chú Cuội lived in a humble bamboo but beside the jungle. Every day, he carried his axe into the woods to cut small trees and gather dry sticks. Then Chú Cuội would tie them all into bundles and carry them home on the ends of a long wooden pole that he balanced on his shoulder. Because Chú Cuội was poor, he could not afford an ox to pull his wood cart to market. So he would walk all the way to town dragging the heavy load himself. One day, while chopping wood in the jungle, he came across 3 tiger cubs frolicking and wrestling in a clearing. Their mother had left them there while she hunted for food. If I can catch one of those cubs, Chú Cuội thought, I can sell it for a great price and buy an ox. Quietly, he laid down his bundle and crept toward the playful cubs. He hid behind a fallen log until one of the cubs rolled right up next to him. With a shout, he grabbed it by the back of the neck to keep it from biting and scratching. When the other 2 cubs saw what happened to their brothers, they stopped fighting and scampered away, crying and whimpering. Just as Chú Cuội started to walk away with the squirming tiger cub, he heard a great roar. He turned around and saw the mother tiger, who just dropped a limp deer at her feet. Hey, so what happened, Boon? Do you know what's next? Right here, pal. Hey, I got you, dog.
With a scream, Chú Cuội scrambled up a tree with the tiger cub in his hand. But with the tiger cub wriggling out of his grasp and landed very hard on the ground, Chú Cuội watched the mother tiger trot to an old twisted banyan tree growing near a bubbling stream. She tore some of the leaves off the tree and chewed them up. Then she returned to the motionless cub, placed the chewed leaves on his head. It's like a band-aid. With an angry growl, the baby tiger leaped to his feet and began chasing his tail. Chasing the tail of the nearest brother he had. Started chasing the tail of the nearest brother as if nothing had ever happened. The mother licked the cub, then led her family to the deer, and then they began to cat. After the family of the tiger left, Chú Cuội climbed down from the tree and walked to the bubbling stream. He plucked a few leaves from the ancient banyan tree and sniffed them. They smelled the same as any other banyan leaves. He said aloud, maybe the tiger cub was only stunned. Maybe, perhaps, he would have gotten up anyways. But just in case, I'll put some of these leaves in my pocket and study them closer when I get home. Chú Cuội gathered up an axe and started back. As Chú Cuội threaded down the dusty road that led to his hut, he saw a small, dead dog lying in the ditch. Aww, a dead dog, oh, poor puppy. He knew that the dog belonged to the son of another woodcutter and that the boy would have been broken-hearted. Remembering what he had seen what the mother tiger did, Chú Cuội chewed up some banyan leaves and carried it in his pocket. He placed the mixture on the head of the dog. With a yelp, the dog bounced up on his feet, licked Chú Cuội hand, and ran down to the path just as good as new. The dog came back to life. It is an enchanted tree indeed, Chú Cuội cried out. And as fast as his feet would carry him, he ran home and got some digging tools. He returned to the stream in the jungle and uprooted the banyan tree, and he brought it home. He dug a deep hole wide enough for the tree, even though it meant destroying the melon patch and cabbages that he made for trees. My cabbages! Even though it meant destroying the melon patch and cabbages, he made room for the banyan tree. Chú Cuội took great care of the tree, treating it with respect and kindness. It flourished and it grew stronger. For weeks later, before Tet, the Lunar New Year celebration, Chú Cuội set off to town loaded with bundles of wood and tree branches covered with delicate pink peach blossoms and some bright yellow hoa mai flowers. He hoped to sell a lot of wood in the marketplace because everyone would be cooking lavish meals and for the long festival. Yummy, I'm hungry. He waved to the women who were on their knees carefully pulling weeds and clearing away dirt from the tombs of their ancestors to make way for the spirits that always return to the earth. During Tet, Chú Cuội nodded to his friends he hadn't seen for so long. Hi friends.
Hi.
As they returned to the village, nodded to his friends he hadn't seen so long, as they returned to the village of their birth. Chú Cuội loved this time of year not just because he sold a lot of wood, but because people are always so joyful. As he came to town, he expected to see villagers dressed in the finest cloth and jewelry. He expected to see children playing games and singing songs with their visiting cousins. But as he walked down the silent street, he saw many faces, sad faces. He stopped beside an old man with a white beard who was decorating his front door with red good luck banners. Excuse me, honorable uncle, why is everyone so sad during the season of joy? The frail old man removed his small black hat and whipped his brow before pointing up towards the east.
Okay. As you may know, he said, over that mountain lives the great Lord who owns most of the land in this region. He has a beautiful and gentle daughter, Viet, whose favorite pastime is planting lovely flowers over the land. Yes, I have seen her from afar. I have heard of her great beauty and gentle nature. But why is everyone sad? Chú Cuội asked again. Because this lovely girl now lies on her bed, so all that she is not expected to live through that. Although her father owns land as far as the eye can see, and gold and precious gems, all the riches in the world cannot make her well. Every day she slips deeper and deeper into a dark, endless sleep. When Chú Cuội heard the awful news, he was greatly disturbed. What a terrible loss if the Lord's daughter should die. Oh no. Ever since Chú Cuội had found the magic banyan tree, he carried a few leaves in his pocket in case he came across a wounded animal or a sick friend. Also, he found that the leaves cured the little cuts and bruises that woodcutters so often get while chopping wood. So Chú Cuội laid down his bundles of sticks and flowers and set out for the great Lord's palace. He walked all day and finally arrived very tired and covered with dust. He was such a sight in his bare feet and ragged clothes that the guards at the palace gates refused to let him in. Over and over, he tried to convince them that he could cure the Lord's daughter. Begone, begone! A guard said, shoving him so hard that Chú Cuội tumbled down the steps and cut his foot. Jeez. Chú Cuội removed a small banyan leaf, chewed it, and then placed it on his foot. Instantly, the bleeding stopped and the wound healed over. A moment later, his foot looked as if he had never been cut. The surprised guards looked at each other and they quickly helped Chú Cuội to his feet and led him into a chamber of the Lord's daughter. Chú Cuội took a deep breath when he saw how beautiful Viet was. Ooh, gorgeous. But her face was very pale and she could hardly breathe. Chú Cuội took the rest of the banyan leaves from his pocket and broke them into small pieces. He placed them gently on the girl's tongue. In a moment, the color began to return to her cheeks. She opened her eyes and smiled at her father, who stood nearby. Her father threw his arm around Chú Cuội, weeping for joy. Woodcutter, you have saved my daughter's life. For your good deed, I grant you her hand in marriage and some of my richest lands. The Lord instructed his man to give Chú Cuội a bag of gold so he could build a proper house for his new bride. What's next, pal?
Chú Cuội built a lovely house at the same spot where his bamboo hut had stood, being very careful not to disturb the magic banyan tree. By now, its twisted roots had sunk deep into the soil into his courtyard. When the house was ready, Chú Cuội brought his new bride to live with him. As soon as Nguyen Ting settled, she began planting her favorite flowers. She planted pink and white peony bushes and sweet orchid vines. She planted lotuses in the fish pond and jasmine around the walls and the fragrant ginger too. Chú Cuội loved his new wife dearly and allowed her to plant flowers everywhere with one exception. You must never plant flowers around the banyan tree. He told her the first day she arrived. You must never disturb the roots or something terrible might happen. But the rest of the grounds are free for you to landscape and do as you choose. It's like his man cave. What? Nguyen Ting agreed, but after 2 months of only one spot left unplanted was the patch of earth around the banyan tree. What am I to do? Nguyen Ting thought to herself. She said one day as she stood with a handful of fresh tubers that a friend from the south had brought with her. These dahlias are my favorite, but there's only one place left to plant them, but it's forbidden. Surely my husband won't mind if I plant my stuff in that patch of grass. I know I can dig very carefully and not disturb the banyan tree's roots. Although Chú Cuội now had enough gold to buy anything he needed and had a fancy house, he was still a simple woodcutter at heart. He missed roaming around the jungle to gather wood and seeing the animals play. So often, Chú Cuội walked into the forest just to be alone and enjoy the nature and play his bamboo flute. While Chú Cuội was strolling in the jungle, Nguyen Ting decided that she would plant the new dahlia tubers under the banyan tree. Very carefully, she dug into the earth, but suddenly her shovel slipped and she cut one of the tree's roots in half. Oh no! In the picture right here. So Nguyen Ting was digging and she accidentally cut into the root of the banyan tree. Nguyen Ting jumped back and screamed in fright as the big tree growled. Oh my god, the tree's alive. It swayed from side to side and slowly pulling up its roots, and one after the other, and started climbing into the evening sky where the full moon was rising. When Chú Cuội heard his wife's screams, he came running back to the house. Just as he reached the courtyard, he saw the last root coming out of the soil. With a shout, he grabbed the root and tried to pull the tree back down. But the mighty banyan tree was very strong. Chú Cuội clung to the root with all his might as the tree climbed higher and higher into the cloudless sky. Far below, he saw his weeping wife in the courtyard, growing smaller and smaller. Then he saw the village looking like a cluster of dots as the tree continued to soar upwards. It crossed into the heavens past the stars and soon came to rest on the moon. There it sank its roots into the soft yellow moon dust. To this day, if you look very hard on a bright moonlit night, you may just be able to make out the figure of Chú Cuội sitting under the banyan tree, with his flute. There, he looks down on earth and wonders how he's gonna get back home.
Okay. The tale of Chú Cuội is a favorite story told on the night of Tết Trung Thu, or the Moon Festival, which occurs in early autumn when the golden harvest moon hangs in the sky. At dusk, children light candles inside colorful lanterns made of thin rice paper and bamboo, being ever so careful not to let the lanterns catch on fire. The children march in a lantern parade, singing songs. Children also fly kites and watch puppet shows. Afterward, they indulge in special rice desserts called moon cakes, or eat fried watermelon seeds, accompanied by hot jasmine tea. Outside under the full moon, children then gather around their grandmothers and listen to fairy tales. The Lunar New Year celebration mentioned in this story is the most celebration in Vietnam, occurring between mid-January to mid-February. That signifies the arrival of spring. The festival lasts 2 weeks, with preparations beginning many days before the actual New Year's Day. It is a time of visiting families and friends, giving gifts, eating lavish meals, and clearing up all debts and worries so much that the coming year will start out right. Peach blossoms, yellow huamai blooms, and miniature orange trees are as traditional to Vietnamese as Christmas trees are to Americans. Many people also hang red paper banners with holiday greetings written on them in the ancient Vietnamese Chu Nom characters that closely resemble Chinese writing. Banyan trees are members of the fig tree family and grow in many parts of Asia and India. Their roots appear to grow above the ground in a tangled mass. But in reality, the tree branches sent down runners that attach to the ground and form new trunks. Very old banyan trees have so many roots and branches that they look like a small groove. And that's how the story is. Yeet!